Yeah, so I think a lot of people will agree with me that the technologies we are talking about as part of Nephio project are not new, right? And many of the organizations are already working in that direction to solve these problems. And I'm sure among us also, all of us have our own way of trying to solve these solutions, right? And when it comes to Nephio, I'm looking for more of a model where we can standardize, where we can make sure people adopt it in a uniform manner, right? So there are not multiple ways of trying to solve the same problem in different ways. Everyone is trying to then later on patch it in the form of plugins and try to do just the duct taping work to make sure the solution can be extended as a overall in a bigger picture, right? And this is where I think how Nephio collaborates with some of the other communities which are already trying to set up those standard procedures like ORNSE, ETSI, and some of the other these things will be very, very important from our perspective. And we are already seeing a synergy as part of the community. And from our perspective, we are having a huge expectation to have some sort of open APIs or some models developed which people can look forward to adopt, and that would give a baseline for the solutions to evolve on top of it. And I believe that is what is the most promising piece that Nephio is looking forward to.
Any question for clarification? Yes, please.
Since you mentioned that you are already into something, even before Nephio has started doing something, what is that that you see there is similarity between what you do, all of you, okay, with respect to Net? Is it something like cluster API? Is it like just the blueprints? Something of that nature which is related to Nephio as a middleware, I would consider. So what is your middleware and what is their middleware, and how you interface northbound, southbound?
Sure. So of course, as I mentioned, right, many of these technologies are not new. So cluster APIs has been there for quite some time to allow you orchestrate your infrastructure. And I'm sure all of the others are also using it already. So we interface with cluster APIs to do that stuff. Over and above, operators, CRDs are also there for quite some time now. And specifically, if we talk about the solutions we are building at Coredge, we heavily leverage some of those aspects. But the point being said, they are not standardized as of today, right? So as a Coredge, whatever I'm doing is something that will allow me and my solution to be complete, right? Tomorrow, if I need to bring in some of the ORAN vendors or some of the other application developers who are trying to provide various network functions or the pieces to complete the overall telco story, I will have to put in a lot of work to make sure we align with those application providers to really complete the story. And that part is going to be much more in a better position if everyone tries to align with some standard reference architecture or the methodologies, right? So if the community converges towards the CRD model, for example, and everyone says that, okay, this CRD means this is how we are going to operate, right? So my config defines how I'm going to roll out some certain piece of configuration at function, or how I'm going to work with it. So I have a standardized point, and when I'm looking forward to integrate, I only integrate with that. And then by virtue of that, I'm compliant with all the people who are compliant with the model. So that's how I'm looking at it.
Very good. You talk well, talk more, okay? The next question is that what are the important points, requirements for the Nephio community consideration? And you're holding the microphone, continue.
Yeah, certainly. So I think everyone will have their own views. From our perspective, I believe edge considerations are going to be very, very important piece. And that's where Tina and others have spent a lot of time as part of that in LF Edge. I believe they will have a huge list of expectations and requirements. from Nephio, and that's where the cross-community collaboration becomes very, very important. So we don't reinvent the whole set of things. So for an instance, when you're working with Edge, there are various requirements which we already talk about, and ORAN is going to become one substantial piece at the Edge for telcos. And I believe maybe that is the starting point to look at from Nephio perspective, and then elaborate on the other Edge requirements that we already established in the Nephio.